Hi guys, today we look at the weights that we use for spearfishing. The neoprene of the wetsuit is actually have a high buoyancy, so it tend to float quite a lot. So if we don't take something heavy, so some block of lead around the belt and so on, we will never be able to just go down. So let's have a look. Here in Denmark, the average wetsuit that we use is a 7 mm. Maybe for a couple of months a year it's comfortable to have a 5 mm, but basically almost everybody you will see they use a 7. So the standard calculation for a 7 mm to know how much lead you need is 1 kilo of lead for every 10 kilo of your body weight plus 2. So for example, I am 96, so let's say 100, and 10 by 1, 10 kilo plus 2, 12 kilo. 12 kilo is almost right for me. This is not, of course, the exact weight that you must have. You must find it out in the water. But also the quantity of lead that you're going to use change a lot based on the depth where you're fishing. The reason is that when we go down, the neoprene of the wetsuit will be squeezed by the pressure of the water. So we reduce the volume, we lose buoyancy, and you will become heavier. You see, if you go, for example, the guys that live in Copenhagen, if you go in Nordhavn, in the top of the stones, is like 10 to 12 meter deep water. If you try to go down there, you will see with when you balance at the surface, normally about 6-7 meter, you will start to sink and be pretty heavy. So that is the change that you have on your ballast, depending on the depth. So let's have a look quick at the kind of weight. Of course, everybody know the typical belt that you see in all movies also. And that is the first kind of ballast that we're using. So let's have a look at that. We have two types. We have, they're heavy. We have the standard with the flopper lock, typically used for also scuba diving, and it is locked by this kind of flopper here. So when you pull it up, it just open, but it can get locked. So this kind of belts, they're generally cheaper. Here instead we look at the Marseillese. Marseillese, because obviously it's been developed in France in the beginning. So it's just like a standard belt, but this kind of belts here, they are normally of a higher quality compared to the traditional scuba diving gear. They're more for technical spearfishing, while a scuba diving flopper is more for the mass, so it's mass produced. This kind, normally they have a much better quality rubber, so the latex is much more elastic, so you can fit it better. And there is a big advantage. If you go deeper, as soon as you open this, you see what happened to the pin. It just get on the other way. So this is very, very easy to take off in case of an emergency. So if you start spearfishing now, it's just a matter of comfort. The Marseillese is just much more comfortable to wear on because it's more elastic material. So the belt is the first ballast that we have. You can put your 10, 12 kilo, 8 kilo only on the belt. We will see a video when we show how you place it properly, when the weather is a bit better. But to be more comfortable in the water without having this 10, 12 kilo on your hips, we tend to split it. And it's not only an issue of comfort. For example, let's have a look at the Ankleweights. I have two types. In my experience, for spearfishing, there are only two types that are worth to use. And both are the shaped version. So the pre-shaped piece of lead, either covered with a strap and neoprene like this that you put around the ankle, or the bare that you put. I use these actually, and it's extremely comfortable and much cheaper. And you put it under the wetsuit, or between the sock and the wetsuit, or just under the sock and under the wetsuit. So that doesn't get tangled in algae or the line of the buoy, the line of the spear gun. So this is very, very comfortable. The The reason why I suggest only the pre-shaped one is that they don't rotate too much, and generally they have a much lower profile. So again, doesn't get easily tangled in the line of the spear gun, in the buoy, or in the algae, because the negative side of the Velcro is that, as you can see here, maybe not, but the Velcro tend to collect these hair thin algae, and it's a bit shitty. But the one with the clip, soft, they are made for scuba diving, and they tend to rotate. So I just hate them. I hate to feel my lead around the leg going in the wrong direction. So, but how heavy should it be? Well, you can buy them from 1 kilo to 300 grams, I think, 250 grams. Let's say the 1 kilo, 750 gram, I use them when I used to go scuba diving, because I had pretty thick 9mm wetsuit, so that is why I need that. But, and of course, if you go with a dry suit or a semi-dry. But for spear fishing, in my opinion, should not be more than 500 grams, and the reason is that it will be much easier to swim and you get less tired. It's a matter of habit. If you're used to have 1 kilo each leg, you don't feel the difference probably, but if you put 500 grams after 4 or 5 hours, you really feel the difference. So, why we use ankle weights? Well, there are two reasons. The first is when we swim, it will help you to keep the legs under the water. A 7mm suit really want to float up. If you put the ankle weights, your legs will automatically sink. This 10-20 centimeter, which is enough to keep your fins underwater. Goes by itself that if you swim with the fins splashing on the surface, the fish is gone. So you find only flat fish and a few of them. Keeping the ankle weights will help you to keep the leg underwater. Of course, you can do without. You just arch your back, and you will automatically in the water sink the legs. But it's a bit uncomfortable, and it takes a little bit of learning a technique. And the other reason is that the last thing that you want the fish to see is your fins, they stick up. Imagine you are laying in the bottom, in the water, your legs start to float behind you, and then these two black things start to pop up. I mean, of course, the dumbest fish will see you and will say, okay, what's that? And they run away. So when you are in aspetto, the ankle weights help a lot to keep the legs down. Of course, you don't need them, because if you relax your muscles, you really relax your body, most of the people tend to sink the leg. Not everybody. I don't. I have very light bones and tend to float. So, but basically, you can survive without ankle weights, but a big, big, big help. The third part where we normally put the lead, also here depends the fishing technique that you're doing, but is basically this thing here. That is just a jacket that you put on like a backpack, and as you can see, there are several models, many, but basically the same concept, and inside they have some leads. So same thing. Personally, when I fish in shallow water, I like to have 8 kilo on my belt. I put 4 kilo in my jacket, so I split this weight all over the body, and I put the ankle weights of 1 kilo, so 500 grams each. So this is very much my lead situation where I'm in shallow water. It just split the weights and make it more comfortable to carry around. If I go deeper, I just take my lead out, my jacket out, and leave it on the boat or on the float, and then 8 kilo is more than enough. I will fight I have a 7mm, so I will fight the first 4 or 5 meters I have to push with the fin to go down a little bit more, but then around 7-8 meter, 10 meter maybe, I start to be negative again, and then I will be able to glide and to sink to the bottom without moving much. So that is more or less how we divide. So a jacket, lead belt, ankle weights. If you start now, you may do only with a lead belt. It's not a big deal. Actually, you can improve your technique and movement, but if you want to make your life easier, you can add the ankle weights. If you want to make life more comfortable, then you can put a jacket on and put 4 kilo instead in the belt. You can have them on the jacket. now all these all your weights need to be verified in the water. How you do? If you want to check how much is the exact quantity of kilos of lead that you need to balance yourself, you go in a place where you just don't touch. So when you're in the swimming pool, for example, when you get the water until here, and the quantity of lead that you have when you lay in the water should be so that I'm speaking now for shallow water, guys. Don't confuse the thing. So is for shallow water hunting, so typical Danish situation. When you lay in the surface, you are relaxed. When you breathe out, you feel that you become negative, and when you breathe in, you feel that you come afloat. So that is the neutral point. So when you exhale all the air, you empty your lung, you start to sink. When you inhale, you take your air in your lung, you come afloat. So in that point, you are neutral in the surface. In the beginning, I suggest you to take out 1 kilo or 2, depending how big you are. It will be much more relaxing, more safe, because anything you can still float. So find the neutral point, and then in the beginning, take out 1 kilo or 2. So just to be positive, but not too much. You will see when you start to fish and make shallow water agguato or aspetto that in my case, for example, I like to have 1 kilo extra, more than neutral points. I like to be heavy. The reason is that when I'm sneaking between the stones here in the Öresund or I live in Helsingborg, so there is a lot of distance here. When I start to go there looking for sea trouts and I see, or I have the suspect that there is a fish, or maybe I see the small one running away, I don't have to make the duck dive. In shallow water, I just lift one of my leg out of the water slowly without making any splash, and instantly I will sink down 1 meter. And then I can stay between the stones and wait for the fish to come out. So, but basically, in the beginning, when you are starting now, get your neutral point, take out 1 kilo, maybe 2 if you're a big guy, and you will be nice and happy, you will feel comfortable. So, next time, today is -2, so I'm not also going in the water. So next time that I have the chance, I will put the belt on and all the other stuff, and I will show you how it's done. So I hope it's everything, and if you have any question about all these things, just send me an email or a message on our Facebook page, or just give me a call in the shop. Ciao.